Well, what about the ayah? Which ayah are we referring to? The ayah is in Surah Az-Zukhruf, ayah number 61. Now, this ayah has got a lot of, a lot of controversy resulted from this ayah recently. So let me clarify a few matters, okay? And my disposition is in the book. You can read it if you want to read it. The ayah says, وَإِنَّهُ لَعِلْمٌ لِلسَّاعَةِ فَلَا تَمْتَرُنَّ بِهَا وَاتَّبِعُونِ هَذَا صِرَاطٌ مُسْتَقِيمٌ. And he indeed, who? Isa alayhi salam. He is, what does the ayah say? لَعِلْمٌ لِلسَّاعَةِ. He indeed is a knowledge of the hour. Is a knowledge of the hour. لَعِلْمٌ لِلسَّاعَةِ is a knowledge of the hour. Now, we have to define what that means here in context. What does ilmun here mean in context? Does it mean science? Does it mean subject? Does it mean fiqh? What does it mean in context? We revert back to what he said in terms of allama. What is allama? Didn't he say wa'allamtuka? Allah says to Isa, wa'allamtuka, and I did what? Imprinted it into you. What is imprinted? The action is imprinting. What do you imprint? You imprint a mark. You imprint a sign. These are all signs. All this writing here, these words, these are all signs. They're all symbols. Knowledge itself is a sign. It's a sign. It's an imprintation into you. Because you can't show me knowledge. It's imprinted into you. If I ask you to show me your knowledge, how are you going to do that? You can't show me your knowledge. It's not a book or words and numbers and letters and all these things. This is all information. Now, going back to what we discussed before, why it is important to make the distinction between knowledge and information. Because if you're thinking in terms of information, then your interpretation of this ayah will be in accordance to that. And you're going to start thinking, Isa alayhi salam has knowledge of the hour. Oh, he has knowledge. No, he doesn't have knowledge of the hour. He is a sign of the hour. First of all, let me clarify a couple of things here in terms of the grammar. And then I will tell you what the Mufassirin have said with regards to this word, la'ilmun, okay? The word la'ilmun is separated into two. One is ilm and the other one is the lam there. Now, in the earlier stages of revelation, as the Qur'an was being scripted down, they didn't have diacritical marks and voweling signs, okay? So, these were things that unless you were proficient in Arabic, you would just know how to recite. You would know how to read it. The lam there are many different kinds of lam in the Arabic language. As I said before, there are different kinds of ba and different kinds of fa and there are different kinds. The lam there cannot have a kasra on it. It has to have a fatha on it. Because if you put a kasra on it, then the ayah changes in meaning. Wa na'udhu billah. I'm just going to say what it is, but we seek refuge from Allah. We are not changing the meanings of the Quran. We are not doing that. If you put a kasra on the lam, it will read innahu li ilmin lis-sa'a. Okay? The lam, if it has a kasra, it becomes a particle of designation. Like saying ila, to ila, right? The way Allah says warafika ilayya, to me. Ilayya, to me. So here it's li. That's what that lam entails. That would make the meme have a kasra. And that would mean that indeed to him is knowledge of the hour. You see how subtle it is? To him is, in other words, he has knowledge of the hour. That's how that interpretation comes out, and it's a wrong interpretation. That is a wrong interpretation. This lam is known as lam al-tawqeed or lam al-muzahlaqa. It is a lam of emphasis. In other words, because you have inna in the beginning of the sentence, that's an emphasis. It's a tawqeed as well. The lam double emphasizes what you want to put across. So indeed, he la'ilmun lis-sa'a. So what you need to identify here is what's the meaning of ilmun in the context of the ayah, not in terms of what you read in the dictionary. Ilm doesn't only mean knowledge, it's got many meanings and many different derivatives in semantic fields. Alam is one of those derivatives. Allama is one of those derivatives. Alama is one of those derivatives. You see, these all have different meanings. Alam is the world. Allama is to imprint. It's to mark, you know, like they mark the cattle with the poke to brand them. That's like, it's like branding. Allama is to brand, it's to imprint, to put a mark in it. So in the traditional sense, they used to teach, when you used to write, you used to make marks with a stylus on a clay, on clay that's not dried up yet. So you make marks. And those become alama. Those become alama, they become marks. And then you read the marks. That's what it means. So if you want to understand this on a more existential level, think about the qalam and lawh al-mahfudh. You think it's a pen like this? You think it's a pen like this? This is what Allah created? No, this is not what He created. You think it's just a tablet like this? Or that iPad that you have there? No. Those are words that He has given us, but we associate with them. Okay, they're not the same thing. They're not made like that. They're not material compositions, but they have the same universal aspect to them. In other words, the tablet can only receive what's being marked on it, and the stylus or the pen, the qalam. The qalam is actually a stylus. It's a stylus in the traditional aspect. The qalam, not so much the pen that we associate with today. So the universal attribute of the qalam is to make a mark, is to do the marking. And the universal essence of the tablet is to receive the mark. So the qalam makes the mark, and the tablet receives the mark. Now, if you look at the human being, his heart can do both. The human being's heart can do both. It can receive the mark and it can also make a mark. So you can influence others. I can give you, I'm speaking to you right now. I'm telling you what's inside my heart, my thoughts. So I'm giving it to you, and what you're doing and what effect that's having on you, okay, is that I am making the mark on you. This is how knowledge is transmitted between individuals. It goes both ways on our plane. But when it comes to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and creation, human being in this way, it's a one way. It can't go two ways. Allah can put a mark on you, you can't put a mark on Him. So when He sends revelation and He inspires you with a thought, that thought is marked into you, it's imprinted into you. That's what allama means. Allama. وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. This is what it means. He imprinted into Adam all the names. وَعَلَّمْتُكَ, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَعَلَّمْتُكَ الْكِتَابِ وَالتَّوْرَاتِ وَالْإِنْجِيلِ وَالْحِكْمَةِ, or I mixed up the order there, but that's the point. That's what He means. He's put it into him. Okay? That's what it means here in terms of the knowledge. And this is what now, if you look, Fakhruddin al-Razi says in his tafsir, what this means is shartun min asharatiha ta'lamu bihi. Okay? Ma as-sa'a. Okay? Understand? It's a shart. And we talked about this. We talked about there are asharat. There are alamat. There are amarat as-sa'a. This is an asharat, according to Fakhruddin al-Razi. His coming being, he is a knowledge. So when you see Him, know that the hour is close. That's what it means. Ibn al-Jawzi says something similar. نزول عيسى من أشراط الساعة يعلم به قربها. The descent, the coming down of Isa is from among the indicatives, the portents of the hour, by which its closeness is known. Its closeness is known in that regard. Now, there is another kind of recitation on this. And this recitation is وَإِنَّهُ لَعَلَمٌ لِسَاعَةٍ. The most famous Rawi in this case, or where it is traced from amongst the earlier companions, is Ibn Abbas. Ibn Abbas recited it as إِنَّهُ لَعَلَمٌ لِسَاعَةٍ. Now, that would be Ibn Abbas's view in terms of the meaning of the word. And I'm going to explain what's the difference between the meanings. La ilmun means he is a knowledge. And understand here by what we mean knowledge. It's an indicative, it's a mark. He's coming down will let you know. That's what it means. It will let you know. When he comes down, it will let you know that the hour is close. That's what the knowledge here means. Okay? La alamun means straightforward, is a sign. Alama is a sign. Okay? In Swahili also we have the same word, alama. You say somebody made an alama here, okay? It means it's a sign. So, on the second meaning of la alamun, because this is one of the many recital forms. Now, Ubay ibn Ka'b recited it as وَإِنَّهُ لَذِكْرٌ لِلسَّاعَةِ. Now, this variance comes from the ahruf. So from the ahruf, the 7 ahruf, you have the 10 qira'ah. Okay? The dhikrun is one of those ahruf. But when Uthman radiallahu anhu compiled the script, he made it one standardized form. So everybody followed this shape of la ilmun or la alamun. Now, where the vowelings are based on the meanings, contextual meanings, as well as the grammatical rules of the statement. And this is why I clarified the lam in the beginning. In terms of grammar, which lam is applied here? And I clarified that it will have to be a fatha. It cannot be kasra. Because to make it kasra is contrary to the meaning of the Qur'an. Okay? So, in the second instance of la alamun lisa'a, what does Fakhruddin al-Razi say? He says, wa huwa allama. Wa huwa al-allama. This is a sign. If you use this version, it's plain and clear. You don't need to worry too much about it. Ibn Qutaybah said, he gave both views, okay? He says, من قرأ بكسر العين فالمعنى أنه يعلم به قرب الساعة. Whoever recites this with a kasra on the ayn, la ilmun, kasra on the ayn, whoever recites it as la ilmun, its meaning is that by him coming down, Isa alayhi salam, the closeness of the hour will be known. وَمَنْ قَرَأَ فَتْحُ الْعَيْنِ وَاللَّامِ, and whoever recites it with a fatha on the ayn and the lam, the second lam, لَعَلَمٌ, فَإِنَّهُ بِمَعْنَى الْعَلَّامَ وَالدَّلِيلِ. Then by that the meaning is that he is a sign and proof or evidence, dalil, of the hour. واضح? Is everyone understanding that now? This is why both these recitals, both these qira'ats are valid. They're valid recitals. Now, if you are reciting la ilmun, which is the most common, you'll find it in most of the mushafs that are printed, because that is the qira'ah of Imam Hafs, which is the most dominant recital in the Muslim world. If you are reciting the Qur'an with that Hafs recitation, you have to ensure that you are consistent in that recitation. You can't pick and choose which one works for you. In terms of recitation, when you're reciting the Qur'an, when you're doing tilawah of the Qur'an, if you are in salah, for instance, okay, and you decide to recite Surah Az-Zukhruf, and you are reciting the whole of Surah Az-Zukhruf in the recital of Imam Hafs, but then you come to this word and you say la alamun, no, you can't do that. You can't pick and choose and mix them up. If you are reciting a different recital, then you can maintain the consistency of that recitation, and both are valid in terms of meaning, so long as you know what they mean. And this is why we're clarifying the meaning of the word. Okay? Now, In terms of the science of eschatology, there is a preference. There is a preference because in the science of eschatology, some interpretation is required, as we mentioned. And Ibn Juzay al-Kalbi says you should never speak on the Qur'an until you have studied what? 12 sciences. The first of which is what? Tafsir. The second of which is qira'at. Then come the other 10. Then, in fact, language and whatnot are the last 3. Those come much later. You need to have studied tafsir, qira'at, ahkam, fiqh, usulul din, usulul fiqh, hadith. Hadith is actually comes earlier. And then usulul din as aqidah. So you need to have studied all those, including then lugha, balagha, bayan. You need to study those as well. So part of the requisite of doing an interpretation, if you are in the field of eschatology where interpretation is required, you need to have first studied these sciences. In other words, you need to know all the qira'at. Now, maybe you don't know how to recite all the qira'at, but you need to know them. You need to know where are the variances and what are the meanings in those variances. This is what I have done here. This is what I have shown you here. And I've also shown you what I want to do this to show you by this is that in the science, in terms of the interpretive, in my opinion, la'alamun is more suited in terms of the interpretation of the ayah. In the science, not in the qira'ah. Now don't go around making YouTube videos and then taking up 10-second clips from here and saying, oh, Abu Bilal is rejecting one of the qira'at. Please behave yourselves, okay? Don't do that to me, please. Tafaddal. I've seen that being done to shuyukh who are more advanced than me, who are more prominent than me, my teachers. Don't do that to me. I'm a very humble person. I'm not of that high caliber. I'm making this very clear. I'm not rejecting any of the qira'at. I'm saying that all the qira'at are valid. They are all mutawatira. Okay? What I'm saying is in the science of eschatology pertaining our study, because here's the thing, what did we say? Every science has got 10 principles. What's the first principle? Al-Had. And Al-Had requires specific terms and definitions. Science requires specificity. Now, if you look at the meaning, the contextual meaning of the ayah with la ilmun, there is ambiguity. We had to spend a better half, and the tafsir also takes a lot of, page space to explain what la ilmun means, to clarify the word in the meaning. Whereas if you take la alamun, it's more specific. And because it's more specific, it's less ambiguous. So this is a better application, this word, this term is a better application in our study. He is a sign. Let's understand that. At least let's establish that as a foundation. He is a sign of the hour. And so this reverts back to this is the prophecy. Allah is telling you He is a sign of the hour. If He is a sign of the hour, He can only come close to the hour. He can't come 2,000 years before the hour has occurred and hence be considered a sign of the hour. That doesn't make any sense. He has to come close to the hour so that when we see Him, we affirm the hour is close. Wadi? Is everyone clear? If there's any issues in this, take your time, inshallah. Take your time and then look at the tafsir. I gave you the methodology. I showed you how the epistemology is built on. Look at the tafsir, see what the different explanations are, and then go further than that. Look at what the scholarly explanations are. There's a process in our tradition. It's not difficult. So He is a sign of the hour, is what we want to say as a conclusion. He is a sign of the hour, or one of the major signs. And then by His descent, we will know when the hour is close. So both la ilmun and la alamun apply in terms of meaning. Okay? In terms of specificity and a demand for a specific term. The more specific term, the one with less ambiguity, the preferred one would be la alamun in the context of the science. not in the context of salat. Don't go into salat saying because la'alamun is more specific, I'm going to recite la'alamun and then recite the rest of the Quran in a different recitation. You can't do pick and choose. If you're reciting hafs, recite hafs. It's fine. The meaning is still valid. So don't shy away from that. You're not performing an act of kufr if you recite la ilmun. Okay?